Welcome back to Hacienda, aka the only map that I can really remember from Black Ops 4. I think there was one on an ice ship, maybe a picnic table. Honestly, I got nothing, man. This time dropped into Avalon, the classic Vineyard estate is under new management, now owned by the dangerous Lutazi family, who we'll hear a bit more about later. Layout-wise, much like every remake these days, it's virtually identical to the original, at least as far as I can tell. Because again, I just want to stress that BO4 is my least played Call of Duty game, besides that one in space. Although in BO6, it seems to play a bit bigger, either because they physically added more space in each room to appease the cokeheads sliding around like they're training for the World Series of Curling, or because console FOV sliders now make every map look like we got caught in a fishbowl. Oh, actually, I take it back. There is one kind of minor layout change upstairs, where they made this previously inaccessible hallway part of the map, giving people a good window to watch that outer lane through and reenact the second best part of Romeo and Juliet. Romeo, Romeo, where art thou, my Romeo? But then there's one other spot that I also want to draw some attention to quick, and that's this little panic room off by the front entrance, which at first I thought was a brand new addition. But then I went back and it turns out that this was also in the original Hacienda. Am I the only one who just completely blocked this thing out? Like, what was the purpose of it again? But more importantly, upon going back to Black Ops 4, I also noticed that in the new version, these pugs have received updated portraits showing off their personality a bit more. This one's a dapper little chap, and this one's female. In fact, a lot of the art around the map has been reimagined or remixed, and you can kind of tell that the art team had fun coming up with what they imagined rich people would hang on their walls, like banana, large drink, and potato on veteran mode. It's just a shame that they'll all be unemployed soon and will never be able to live in a place like this of their own. Sorry, I'm getting so distracted today. I think I was talking about the layout, right? Hacienda is built around a central building. That's less of a building, I guess, and more of a courtyard used to hold in-the-round weddings, with an outer balcony to seat guests and ample parking space one layer outside of that. This creates a natural hotspot in the middle, where you can easily be killed from one of those other outer lanes. However, in practice, most fights actually just happen straight on in those upper balconies or the surrounding areas. And that's because Hacienda has a slightly different vibe than a lot of the current Black Ops 6 maps. And a big part of that is due to its lanes being a bit more defined. There's a ton of areas where if you want to cross into another part of the map, you'll have to backtrack or kick it into high gear to find an opening ahead, like you're stuck on a highway waiting for an exit. This means that there's less quick flanking routes, and you'll have to plan your trip out a little bit more ahead of time, and makes where enemies may be funneling out of a little bit more predictable. And it's for these reasons that it's been huge in the COD competitive scene. Or in layman's terms, the most annoying people that you know absolutely love it, leading to its inclusion in ranked play, the place that you go if you want to play Call of Duty minus all the stuff that makes it Call of Duty. All of that said though, Hacienda isn't a perfect map by any means. I mean, I personally still don't understand the purpose of the water off to the side here. And it kind of reminds me of the Modern Warfare games, where they just throw a stream down to the side, I guess to justify the water-based combat mechanics they spent so much time coding in. But this water specifically feels more pointless, because there's only really two ways to get in and out. So if you bust your way through the glass and into the pond, you're basically committed to swimming all the way to the other spawn, which I guess makes sense with what I was saying before about no quick flanks, but I have never had the urge to use this path over the dry one right here. Like, am I alone in this? Does anyone actually realize this is part of the map? Oh, I did also discover, though, while writing, that if you just stay here in the water, the current will eventually just take you right out of bounds. Which, I don't know, I just find that funny and wanted to share. Oh, and while we're on the topic of shoehorned modern COD features, a brand new one for this Hacienda is, of course, doors, which, like most maps in this game, aren't particularly intrusive, and are usually just opened within the first few seconds of every match, making them more like a little added garnish to each level, like the panic room or spinning car, which technically changes gameplay up a bit, but it's so minor that I kind of see it as a nice little detail, rather than something that's gonna win or lose gunfights for you. However, with Hacienda specifically, doors are a bit of an odd choice, because not every door opens, and sometimes it can be a bit jarring until you figure out which ones are bashable, which ones are fixed in position, and which ones are painted on. And if you just looked down, you'd notice a single potted plant acting as a bouncer to whatever might lay beyond. I'm just saying it's a bit odd that it's so inconsistent, right? Like, what's next? Some windows breaking and others not? Some cars exploding, but others being indestructible. Some shots registering as hits, and others just looking like they are? Oh, wait, actually, the problem is just that they aren't supposed to be bleeding. Okay then. Also now available with Season 1 Reloaded is a completely original new strike map called Racket, which, I'm gonna be honest, there's not a lot to say about. It's a bit on the larger side as far as face-off maps go, but it's still incredibly small, with a layout seemingly inspired by a parking garage. Like, it's absolute chaos. And I take back like 50% of what I said about Stakeout, because oh what I wouldn't give for a little vent that I could hide away inside of for a few seconds to catch my breath before I pass out from smoke grenade spam. Lore-wise, this is where the big heist against the Lutazis happen. A plan that I'm still not too sure on, but I guess it involves a bulldozer and a couple of washing machines. You know what, honestly, this isn't really my area of expertise. I'll let you guys figure this one out. And the last new thing with the update is good old Nuketown Holiday, where Christmas spirit has overtaken the quaint little town of Nuke, when a surprise snowstorm makes landfall for the first time in 2.6 million years. Damn climate change. And the few residents who haven't been turned into snow in a weird reverse Frosty type situation have littered this place with more Christmas decorations than a Walmart on November 1st. We've got wreaths, Christmas trees, lights, Zombie Santa riding his sleigh through an interdimensional portal at the beginning of every match. More lights. Overall, this feels like a pretty good mid-season, with something for everyone. Competitive players, face-off junkies, Christmas noobs, and maybe, just maybe if I'm lucky enough, Santa will have something for me under the tree too. Oh, sick! It's a wet blanket! And that's actually where I'll end today's tour. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, check out the last one we did on the other 3 Season 1 maps from last month. And everyone else can exit through the gift shop, where we're selling some of the wine that they're supposedly making here at Hacienda.